Hey everybody, this is Leo from OrderFlow Labs, and welcome to our first live event on YouTube. In these sessions, we're going to cover a few important areas. So we'll review any trades we took in the morning session. We'll break down the market activity from the morning and kind of a little bit of an outlook. We'll look for some potential setups that we can take in the current session, and discuss a potential topic for the day. So like every week we'll try to come with a topic, or maybe even if you have a question, you can throw it in chat and we'll kind of dive in to whatever that topic might be. So we'll have some ideas there. And then of course we'll take any trade setups that we see that occur. We're not going to take trades just to take trades. So if no trade setups happen that don't quite fit our criteria for something to occur, trade setup to happen, we're just not going to take it. So I know a lot of people are excited about these sessions, so we're pretty excited to do this, and finally we'll answer any questions you have. So for context, this will be a weekly show that's on for about an hour and a half each Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, it wouldn't be a proper show without a co-host. And so without further ado, I want to welcome my friend AJ. AJ's been around for quite a while. He's been with the OFL since day one. AJ, do you have any opening words about the live sessions before we get rolling?
No, I'm just really excited to be here. I think this should be a fun, chill vibe. So I'm just excited to get going. This will be a good time.
Sweet. Well, we should get started. Do you want to start first? Do you want me to break down what I'm looking at? Okay. We can test this out because I'm not, this is our first episode, so I'm not sure I got everything totally set up right. And it looks like I do. So AJ, we're on your screen, buddy.
Cool. So let's kick it over to this chart. This is just like kind of like a zoomed out volume profile chart. Volume candle chart. So kind of coming into the session, right? I was looking at, obviously we had a liquidation, pretty strong liquidation yesterday. So we kind of drove down, and then we spent the afternoon kind of putting in a little bit of wide balance. Going back, like the low of the day was this swing low here in ES at 733. And you can see, so I marked it with a line, and I'll just kind of zoom back in on yesterday. So you can see we kind of came into it on the liquidation, tagged it, got a response, rebid it. So that area was obviously important. Coming into the session, I was looking at what happened overnight, and we kind of grinded down through Globex after hitting the weekly open yesterday afternoon. So coming to the session, I wouldn't say I was short biased, but with a strong leg down into this, I would have expected this 33 line to get at least swept harder. So to the short side, what I had in mind is I want to see us get under the overnight low, previous day low, under that swing point. And I would have wanted to see us building volume then under there. I want to see volume build in 730s and 720s for a push down maybe towards 700. But, going back to the intraday chart, this line carried over. You can see we did sweep that low, and then we just got right back above it without really spending any time or putting any volume in there. And so the trade I was kind of looking for right off the bat was also taken off the table almost instantly. So right off the bat, I kind of just waited because I wasn't sure what to do until we kind of started trading around this previous week low a bit. So this isn't my main account. I'm going to bring over a screenshot here. You got that, Leah?
Yes.
Cool. So this was from the morning. This is from early morning. You can see, I didn't take any trades on the push down. I didn't take any trades on the push up because I was looking to see, like I said, volume build under this 33 area, and it just didn't happen. So once we came back into the previous week low and kind of hung out for a decent amount of time, I still didn't have a read on it because, it was such a violent reaction from the sweep of this previous day low. So I kind of watched as we traded around the previous week low, and eventually we bid back out of it. And so what I was looking at for a trade, I drew you'll see this arrows pointing at both a delta leg-to-leg profile and a volume leg-to-leg profile. So like I said, I didn't participate in this previous week low, but I was watching how we had all this bid delta absorption and then this volume build kind of accumulate on this leg. So basically my thought was, all right, well, we didn't have any interest underneath the previous day low, underneath the overnight low, and now sellers are kind of getting stuffed in the 40s. So essentially I just waited for a pullback back against the previous week low. And I believe at the same time ES did it here, NQ also did it, which gave me confidence. So got into my trade. Once we kind of traded above the 5-minute high, I took a little bit of a momentum add because I felt like the market had a pretty decent bid, and I thought we could get a really, really strong push out of here, considering how hard the passive buyers defended it. Took off some of my trade at around 50s, and then I did take another momentum add. You can see I actually added higher. Around 56, took one piece off, but then we kind of came into the overnight high, and then sellers stepped back in. You saw I got a sell signal from OFL. That's the red star there. It's saying that Delta is essentially flipping from market buying activity being more aggressive to market selling activity being more aggressive. So I just cut that ad right there, and I was pretty happy with that trade. And it wasn't necessarily, oh, well, that's the high of day. But if that momentum add I took at the 56s, if I'm going to hold that trade, I want to see buyers staying aggressive. I don't want to see sellers to start stepping in. So I cut the ad for, a very, very, I think I lost a couple ticks on it. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that sequence. I still, I like trade trend moves up. And I didn't feel like, normally I would, when I feel like I have a really good trend leg, I'm going to try and work that pretty hard. But I just kind of feel like we're still digesting, even now, that balance range from yesterday. We're still, the high, I would say, even up into the weekly open in ES here, we're still kind of just filling out volume. But obviously the market stayed bid through this. I did take one other trade here. After I'd covered that original long, I flipped over to this chart that we're streaming on, and I saw this high that we made. We pushed above the overnight high and slammed back down. And I was like, this could be an area where maybe we start to kind of trade back back towards the previous week low, and maybe even the overnight low and previous day low. And also I'm going to draw something. I'm going to isolate some activity with my Delta profile here. So I'm highlighting these three candles, And you can see on this right side, this is the delta that happened in that side of those candles. So someone dumped, like someone just marketed in, hitting like 2,000 lots in the bid when we came into this area. So that was kind of my cue to get short. Right. I like that. If I want to be sure, I want to see someone selling a couple thousand lots in the S. However, it didn't really go anywhere after I had got into my trade. In fact, we actually see that you got some OFL buy signals happening here. I didn't cut my trade immediately upon seeing this because that activity, that burst of activity was so strong. I think it was worth holding for a little bit, but it just, I got in full size. It went nowhere. And so I just scratched it, which ended up being the right move. When I saw that much aggressive selling, I would have expected follow through to happen relatively quickly, considering where we're at and what had just happened. But right now it's just the market's got a bit of a bid.
Did you have single prints in NES? We do have it in Q. I was just curious.
I don't think. I guess we do. Yeah. Yep.
My man tried to fade the single prints and got run over.
You know what? I honestly didn't see it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Did not even see it.
I'm just kidding. We have to make fun of each other a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. There's going to be probably a lot of that. But yeah, right now I'm flat. The market is drifting higher, building volume higher.
Yeah, this is the AJ market where it's just every little low. I mean, in NQ at least, there's just a bunch of bid volume that just gets kind of trapped, and we kind of grind. We start to grind higher. Seems to be what we've done ever since we made that low in the early trading session.
Yes, definitely. It's been all bid market for the past hour and a half. I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, you look, if we were just zoom out a little bit, like this is such a clean distribution here from the last few weeks in ES, right, from like 730 to up to 820 almost.
Right.
So when I see all this volume and we're kind of at the bottom of the distribution, that buyers are gonna kind of fight like hell to stay in this range, because once we kind of start building under it, they could be in trouble and feeling some pain. But I mean, I gave the long short, got a nice piece off of it. Gave the long go, got a nice piece off of it. Tried to short, didn't really get anywhere. We're still under this little swing high, this local swing high we had from yesterday. So I don't know. I think sellers still have a chance, but right now they're pissing against the wind.
Yeah, it seems that way. Well, I can go over what I did this morning.
Cool.
Oh, look at that. I switched. Also, my trades were done in my primary account. So just for disclosure, neither AJ or I are going to be risking our personal financial capital while we stream live on YouTube. So if you're here to watch, massive trades go through with, us flashing P&L, that's not the purpose of this. So,
I think we did that test run, and it became very obvious that it was not going to be possible to do that.
Yeah,
it's a big ask from a multitasking perspective, because you guys don't realize Leo is kind of the man behind the curtain with his stream deck, and he's flipping between my screen and his screen. He's got to make sure the audio is clean.
Yeah. So, anyways,
10 minutes.
Essentially, we'll try to bring a screenshot of a trade. Please risk your own coin. We do. We're not going to do it live on YouTube, but there's plenty of things we'll talk about to go over that. So anyways, here's the trade I took this morning. The first one was kind of unique. Well, it wasn't really unique. It was just, it was kind of easy. Both of these trades were a little easy. I didn't have to think too hard. essentially we opened in the middle of the overnight auction, and for me that's like not enough information to really do anything with. So we did open below the prior week low, so I'm thinking that prior week low could be resistance. And then we have the Joe pivot. That's one of the OFL tools from a structural standpoint to, that also could be resistance based on, building initial volume at the open below that. So I kind of waited for that open auction to develop, and you can't see it on this screenshot, but when we popped up here, it was a little exhaustive. There was some offer accumulation up here, a little absorption, and I didn't really do anything right away. Kind of waited for us to get back below that prior week low, and then I entered one part of a position, and then we kind of rotated down a little bit to the OR mid, came back and kind of back tested this pivot, and I added a little more, and so then I took off the first scale at the OR low. Just looking at kind of everything. That's my first take profit is this OR, and we'll probably get into more of that as we go through time. But then the next was the overnight low, and so that idea was just based on the stats. So there's stats available all kinds of places, I'm sure, that have this information where 100% of the time, or a very high frequency, we published it on a 20-day rolling average. The overnight high or low being tagged is a very frequent event. And so my trade idea here was just to ride this last piece to the overnight low. So that's the first trade. And then the second trade was essentially just looking at all this accumulation right here, tons of selling, not really getting anywhere. And then we get a dominator print that's from OFL, and then Delta Map starts to flip very positive. And what's funny is I only got one clip on here, and I didn't really get a chance to add to this trade because it literally just took off.
It's nice when that happens.
It is great. So, I mean, I did get a full, I don't know what this is, like 50 or 60 point rotation out of this trade, and just kind of took it to this exhaustive, push into the OR.
When you have one of those trades where, it's a beautiful thing when you get on some and it just instantly rips in your direction, but you don't get the chance to get as much as you want out of it. Does that change how you take profit on what you did manage to get on?
Yeah, I'll try to hold it I'll try to hold it through that momentum, and then kind of let it push, as much as I can. And then once it pauses, when it's full, when I don't get, kind of a full clip on, honestly, I'll just take the whole thing off, just that pause. And then that's kind of how I manage that. I don't try to get cute with trying to add through momentum in that specific scenario, especially with there was that little liquidation from yesterday that you mentioned. So I mean, I'm not totally sure that early into the session that like this is a great long quite yet. So for me, it was just like I got a little bit curious down here. We had took out the little poor reference from the day prior, the intraday poor low. I'll show that in a minute. And then we had the dominator and the delta map. So kind of, all that kind of came together for me.
Nice. It's a clean morning.
So then if I flip over to the TPO here, you'll see this opening drive lower took out these poor references from the prior day. So that was kind of my one of the clues that I got, and unable to really progress any further than that. And so that was kind of the context behind the long that I took. And then, we are making our way back up through the prior week open. So that's the prior week G line. So prior week open and then back into this balance area so we use balance area logic to automatically plot balance area zones. And so we have the start of this balance area was created here on this day. And so then here yesterday we broke it. We actually had a reoffer from the balance area low. And then overnight we just chopped around and then, made that kind of retest this morning. And now we are testing back above, or trying to build volume back in this low volume node on the little bit of a higher time frame. So that's kind of my read on where we are. So I think it'll be interesting to see, is this a trade, or is this a scenario where we get back through this congestion area, this large high volume node, and then go all the way to the other side of it and make new highs? Or is this going to be the battleground here? I think when we were on last week, we talked about this blue zone where the G line is currently as being, a very important spot, because we had the support here. It was tested here and here, and so we had marked that from the last time we were on. Actually, I used the same chart book for this stream, and so we can see.
He's saying,
what's
you're
that?
still on the. Are you still on the screenshot screen, or did you bring it up?
Am I?
Someone said that in the chat.
Try that. My first blunder won't be last. Okay, so I was talking through all this TPO stuff. So just memorize what I said and then look at the chart. No. So anyways, this is that reference I was talking about yesterday. We talked about a little bit in OFL, in the chat. And so we took that out and found a bid. And then so, what I was showing on this 30-minute chart is this auto plot balance area. So basically we have this balance area here. It was broken yesterday, got reoffered, and, attempted to make new lows. We had an overnight chop session. And then now we're trying to build volume back into the low of this balance area. So I guess what I was saying here is it'll be interesting to see, and then, this is not a prediction, but, it's just, there are scenarios that you can map out with, kind of looking at all the structure. And so just this area that I just highlighted, kind of looking at that as potential resistance, that could take us lower, I guess, right? Or do we ultimately push back through, get through this, this big volume, this large volume, which seems to be a little bit in trouble, and then push, and make new highs. So that's kind of what I was going through.
So NQ actually did not sweep its prior day low, right?
No, just stopped right in front of it.
Gotcha.
Check the string. Okay, got that. Is the tape reader moving on the right? I'm not sure I understand.
It should be. It looks like it is.
AJ, do you have any thoughts on long-term VWAPs? I use the weekly, so we're actually right up against the weekly VWAP right now. The monthly, so I use on my higher time frame, I use the weekly VWAP, and then we also have a so this volume profile here is actually anchored to the start of this balance area. And so what that means is that anytime we have a balance area that starts, this volume profile is going to get reset. And this VWAP here that you see, this, I guess, kind of pink line or slightly red line, is the anchored VWAP from the balance area start. So that's one thing that I used for context. And then I use the weekly VWAP. I don't know that I have anything that I get as far as a frame of reference on any higher of a time frame from that as an intraday trader. What about you, AJ?
Yeah, I would say that the highest time frame VWAP that's on my chart is weekly, but I do like anchoring VWAP if I feel like I've identified some kind of higher time frame like local swing lower high that's kind of leading to trend. Because or conversely, if we have one that is, we have a data drop that kind of brings it in a new direction to the market, I like to anchor VWAP to that. But I wouldn't say for at least for my trading, it's not necessarily a setup. I'm not always looking to trade from those areas. It's a little bit more of just context, keeping me honest about how volume's building in the direction of the leg that VWAP's anchored to. I'm not necessarily looking to work around those areas, but I do pay attention to it.
Why don't we go over some potential trade setups? AJ, do you have any ideas that you're looking at?
So honestly, I still think that there's a short
I'm on your
opportunity
screen, by the way.
here. Okay. So this is just like my 20K volume chart. Like I said, it's just kind of a little zoomed out so I can see what's happened over the last couple sessions. I still think that there's a potential short here. Right, we're kind of bumping up against the prior day mid. Um, this blue line, this dotted blue line at the high and the one at the low here. This is the OFL ATR study. So you notice it kind of stair steps. Basically, um, as the sessions range develops, these lines adjust to calculate what the expected ATR is in real time. So that's why it's like kind of changing right now. But we're kind of nearing ATR high. I don't necessarily expect this line to be tagged. This is more of like kind of a general guidelines because it's not. I mean, sometimes it does work to the tick, but it's simply measuring ATR. So I'm not expecting that it's gonna just tag this line and go. I mean, we're really hanging out at this prior day mid here. Um, ATR to the high side has almost been met. I mean, I can certainly. I don't know that I'm buying any dips, honestly. I mean, the overnight low, previous day low area being rebid could be good because that's kind of like a sweep support and then rebid it. Um, I don't know that I'm going to want to buy this this 50 areas that was holding earlier. The 50s here was holding earlier. I mean, I would think that if we start selling here, it could get pretty heavy. Um, I don't know what trade I would take because I'm so conflicted that the market's had such a strong bid all morning, but we still have not we haven't like it's not like we've reversed this higher time frame move. So I could see it going both ways and
Yeah,
like there's just so much volume built at the high.
kind of bid into resistance, and then we're just hanging out.
Right.
So it's kind of it is kind of a tricky scenario for the afternoon.
I would say this. I'd be very tempted if I had to pick one trade. I'd be very tempted to long a liquidation to the overnight low, previous day low, just because we obviously like we swept it. Just like look for a rebid there could be a good trade. I'd at
Pretty
least
deep.
expect a
That's a pretty
response
deep
there.
pullback.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a deep pullback. I'm not expecting that, but we'll see.
On NQ, I'll flip over. I wouldn't mind a scenario where we come back to the overnight low and look for long, or even retest these singles in the 85s for a decent afternoon long. I mean, I know that we're just kind of building a little bit of a channel for you Crown folks. There's something for everybody. So I don't have a great read on this. I talk a lot about not fading single print, so I'm definitely going to be cautious of being looking for shorts, but yeah, we'll see how anything that plays out up here in this blue zone that I mentioned over here on this higher time frame. If we start to get some really heavy selling, I may look for that to get reoffered, and so maybe look for that if that happens to play out. But I think my A plus scenario would be either watch the order flow at this overnight low, which also corresponds with the IB high. I know it's already been tested once, but we broke above it. Set the IB here, broke above it, and came back in, kind of retested and went. So I know that this may be a little bit of a weak reference point as far as MGI is concerned, but that might be one scenario to watch the order flow once we get there, and then down here at par day close where these single prints start. I think that would be an ideal, two of the most ideal setups.
Yeah. Someone asked what period ATR for me. So this is a 5-day AT. It's looking at the 5-day look back, and it's RTH only. Someone also asked, is the morning low where the big move started from, was it responsive activity? Someone responded. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by responsive activity. But we grinded into that sweep the low, and then just got bid and the offer lifted through it. Let's see. Yeah, they both have a similar look right now. NQ and ES. I was looking at your chart when you were streaming it, and we're kind of just chopping at these highs, but we are building volume higher. It's I don't think it's shorts off the table, but they haven't been able to get anywhere yet.
Well, how can we get your app or indicator? Well, there's many different avenues. If you want to take a look, you can just go to orderflowlabs.com and you can see a description of some of the tools we have. There's also on our YouTube channel a lot of some of the content in the YouTube channel goes through a little bit of that. And we also have a freemium package. So some of the tools like single prints that you see on my screen, you can get for free. The weekly MGI you can get on the freemium, as well as the tape reader. But the premium plans, actually I can just pull this up here. So there's, as far as options go, like if you're interested in signing up, there's a Discord plan. So that's just like access to the Discord, morning plan. So every morning, I'll show a schedule of that in just a second. So you have the morning plans, access to the ES and NQ stream. So we stream both ES and NQ. But that obviously doesn't come with any of the tools for a trade, for a platform, right? Because these are all customized to CR Chart, NinjaTrader, and MotiveWave, and Edge Pro X. So if you have those platforms and you want to get the full suite, then you would have access to the structural tools that I keep talking about autoplot, the structural tools, execution tools that you see on the screen here, and then all that's automated. So like we have a liquidity zone here at the high right here. That's automated by looking for absorption, basically on a footprint, type of chart, and then that gets drawn to the execution screen. So that's as far as signing up. As far as what type of schedule you get access to the weekly prep, but we've been posting some of those on YouTube just to see if folks like watching that outside of OFL. And then every morning on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, one of our co-founders, Joe, will put out a morning plan, and then he'll do a recap at the end of the day, and then you can see the schedule as far as where interaction, right? Like it's not just sign up for a bunch of tools and get lost. We try to make sure that you understand how they're used. So all of the tools have EDU content sections to learn, and so you understand what's going on, and then voice sessions and Discord, as well as streams and things like that we have from various people. So it's not just one person's perspective, we all have a foundation of trading with order flow, but it's, everybody has a different perspective on, how they interact or how they trade. And so we try to, build that into some of the interactive type of stuff. So hopefully that answered your question. As far as descriptions go, that's on our website, on our YouTube channel, etc.
Does NQ have its pocket high day right here?
It's right here at 55. Oh, we're on your screen. That is hilarious.
That high?
Yeah.
It's a decent offer that just came into the market. I mean, they are holding this. They're holding this 70 pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, we had a liquidity zone there in NQ that they're pushing off.
Oh,
you have one in ES too. Yeah, I'm on your chart.
Yeah, so there's this, for people that don't know, this little black box right here is liquidity zone. Like Leo said, it's kind of identifying absorption. So basically the look here is that in this little range, there were people buying at market, filling the offer, and they didn't get anywhere. So price moved away from the spot, which is what then validates the zone. So the absorption has to happen, price moves away from it. And you can see on the return to that area, we got another response. It's just, I feel like that's an ugly looking short. But it does. I mean, it's happening in a logical spot, though. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, really, just looking at, I mean, it's just not. I don't know that this is necessarily an A+ trade, like in my playbook, but it is a weak. It's a weak high that's kind of triple topped right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make sense. We're getting a little bit of selling there. Nobody's really getting progress above it.
Right.
Hey, so we said we we're going to have a topic, and so one thing that I wanted to see what your take on this is, and I don't know if you've gone down this rabbit hole yourself, or it's not really a rabbit hole, but like, I don't know if you struggled with this, but like thinking about every single trade that you take in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that we can, do these trade reviews often, right? Like that's part of doing the work as a trader, is going through your trade reviews, going through your fills and giving yourself, feedback and criticism, and then even doing that with other people. And I think that when you do that, that's great, because you are actually, you have to go back through that and review, what happened and identify potential trends within your own system. But I think what I've noticed is that a lot of people, and I've done this myself, is look at every single trade and try to maximize the return on every single trade. Right. And so then you end up thinking, like like when you're actually in a trade live, is how can I perfect this individual trade in every single moment in time? And, I just don't think that is necessarily a great way to think about, your trading, either when you're review or when you're live. And so I just wanted to get your take on, like, how do you manage, going through trade reviews and applying some of what you learned and what you're learning, through the market to where you're not just trying to, perfect every single trade that you take.
Sure. So, I think what is the quote? Perfection is like the enemy of greatness, or something like that. Is that, am I quoting that correctly?
You're going to have to tweet that this weekend for,
there we go.
I don't know, weekend tweeter.
Yeah. So I think that, I just have to be honest with myself about like who I am and what my capabilities are. Like I'm not I don't have quant. I'm not a quant with hedge fund backing, right? I'm a guy that's been studying markets for a few years now, and I've been doing it consistently for a bit. But I'm not going to have zero MAE trades and get like maximum MFE on every single trade. Meaning I'm not going to nail my entry to the tick. I'm not going to nail my exit to the tick. I'm just happy, my capabilities and my goal with my trading is just to get more out of the market than I'm putting into it. So my expectation is not perfection, because I have retail trader resources available, and like OFL is a godsend in that fact, because it kind of offers so much for the retail trader. But we just simply do not have I don't think that I have the ability personally, and it's not my goal to just be perfect on every single entry and exit. Good enough is enough for me. So, I live like that long that I took earlier. That's a great trade. I got like 20 and a couple, I don't know, 25 points out of it in ES, but the trade went for another 10. It's not my goal necessarily to get in at the low a day and then to get out at the high a day. I'm just trying to get my piece of the pie and move on. So that's why I don't look at trades in isolation, because a winning trade is, in my eyes, is just that, a winning trade. Obviously, I look at things and say, oh, well, I could have done this better, or maybe if I had done this tweak, I could have stayed in the trade longer. But I'm not gonna change everything about the decision making process that I have just because I cut a trade too soon, or I got in early or late, or whatever it is I'm trying to fix about that one setup. I just don't. I think it's. I think you just go down a rabbit hole that's going to make all of your decision making harder if you kind of try to get every single tick that you can out of a trade. And maybe some of you listening come from more of a quant background or an algorithmic background, so you're kind of listening to what I'm saying.
How many quants are listening to this? Let's
It's
get it. Raise your hand if you're a quant.
Raise your hand. If any quants in here, show yourselves. But yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't think it's my job as the retail trader to be perfect. I'm just like, have to be honest with myself about my capabilities. Like, I'm here to get money, to extract money from the market as much as I can. Sometimes it's going to be, I'll be a little sloppier, but I'm a human being managing these trades manually. I'm not a computer. So I think the thing for me is, once I kind of found some consistency, why over tweak what's working? It's like, if I'm getting stuff out of the market consistently, like, is my life gonna be that much better if I'm getting those extra couple ticks at the end of a trade? Or is that going to end up making it harder for me to extract money from the market because I'm overthinking things? I'm just about simplicity. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I strive. Simple and not imperfect is kind of what I strive for.
Yeah, and I think trying to maximize, like, and perfect every trade can tend to force some unnecessary bad habits, right? So, like, one thing that comes to mind for me is, like, if you're trying to, get the perfect entry and get the perfect exit, then you're basically just trying to hit a home run on every single trade, right?
Right.
Even if it's just a 20-point trade or a 30-point trade, you're still you're viewing that through the lens of, like, I've got a pitch. Like, every trade is a pitch, and I got to smash this ball, even if it's a curve ball or a fastball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you start thinking that way, and that can really impact how you interact.
Yeah, I think overthinking it is I think it's better to be sloppy and simple than overthought and perfect for sure. And I think, when you have to think about it, like the setups that I think we're looking to take, you can't necessarily control exactly. I mean, you not necessarily, you can't absolutely cannot control um, how order flow kind of presents itself, like at its areas of interest. Like, so a trade might not go exactly how you planned, but that doesn't mean that it didn't end up working just because you had to take a little bit of heat or you had to sit in the trade a little bit longer than you would have liked. So kind of over tweaking all those elements for something that's already working. I mean, I'm not saying never uh, pursue improvement, right? You should always be a student of the market and looking to improve on your game, but always in the context of, hey, like let's not make this worse by trying to make it better.
Yeah, I don't have anything better to say than that.
Nice.
And we are being gifted this afternoon with a very tight range. And Yassine has been playing it apparently 40 longs, taking the longs at 40 and then covering at 80, it seems like. So not a bad, little mini balance we have up here above prior week value area low. But it's a little bit adventurous for me. That's what I'll say.
I mean, we are both I'm just looking at your chart in the NQ profile. I mean, we are clearly building volume higher on the
Right.
way up. And
Right.
like ES is is a few ticks off the high a day.
Yeah, I'm looking at your chart now. So
Yep. So I don't know that I have a trade here, unfortunately.
right, same.
I think especially like in these 70s, like now we're really kind of at a spot where I can
Yeah.
I can see where sellers are stepping in. Like as much as I love buying at bid market, um, I don't I don't love bidding up here just because we do kind of have just a let's see what this looks like on the volume profile from this leg. Why don't we do that? Yeah, so buying like this is the leg down, the taper down from yesterday, and then like this is the high, I guess, of this distribution. So kind of bidding into the top of this distribution after we've traded most of it. Not something I love to do. Um, it may very well go, but if I wanted to be long, my original long at the previous week low was the right trade, and I should have just bought every single one of these little dips, and I should have been done already. Honestly, that would have been the way to play this to the long side. Got a small piece of it, not nearly enough. But you know what? I had a little bit of hope for the sellers because, listen, they're still, we could easily liquidate today. But, we've been trading all time highs in ES and it has not had that strong bid. Like we were like this whole the past 2 weeks when we were at the highs. There was no excitement from the buyers. So liquidation made sense because there didn't seem to be a lot of interest in pushing this, up into the 830s, 840s. So I did have hope for the sellers to kind of step back in. I mean, we still might like really clean weekly VWAP right here. It would not at all surprise me for us to be back at the 30s in a minute. But yeah, this is not, all morning it's been bid, but this is a really hard spot for me to buy it, I guess is what I'm just reiterating. I mean, it's early. We still have several hours in the session. Is there any? No, if Barkin just finished talking.
That's AJ's famous saying. We have all day to buy this thing, or sell it.
We do,
or sell it.
I don't know, man. It's just the market has not had that kind of. There's a certain pace and personality when we've got a bid market, and I have not felt it in a while.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of what's making me a little hesitant on some of my longs. Normally, I feel like I have a pretty good feel for when we're just relentlessly bid, because it feels like a party, like literally, like it just like it's the vibes are immaculate. Everyone's going nuts, just buying everything in sight. There's not a single downtick, and we just haven't had that recently. Um, and obviously that's why I think that liquidation played out the way that it did. Um, Very little volume done above yesterday value. Yep. But we'll see. It's early. Sellers still have hope in my opinion, but any of
So
you guys taking
so
any trades in here today? What have you guys been up to in the chat
yeah, well,
so far to start
curious
your
on what
morning?
you've done. Hey AJ, go back to your execution chart.
Okay.
So your delta profile is the full session,
Yes.
and then on your DOM it looks like you have some shorter time frame like swings.
Oh yeah. So I think so I'll just say how I set this. So these are set by the automatic leg to leg profiles from OFL. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see the studies thing pop up?
No, we can just they
Okay.
won't be able to see the settings stuff.
So essentially, there's a study that if you point it at a volume by price chart study in Sierra chart, is it the same type of thing for Motive or Ninja?
It's actually a little easier in Motive and Ninja.
All right. So essentially, there's a study that allows you to kind of set how much range you want for the profile to be refreshed at. So, right, it's taking it from like rotation to rotation of a certain range. Did I explain that properly? I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah, I think so.
So these profiles on my DOM are set to both set to reset every time we make a new 5-point rotation. So every time the market makes a swing low, moves up 5 points, the profiles reset, and vice versa. We make a new swing down, it's going to reset. And this just helps me kind of visualize how volume is building on the very, very short time frame. I know some folks in the DOM columns, they use either the current volume at bid and ask, or recent volume done at bid and ask to kind of visualize recent orders on the ladder. I just prefer this way. I'm not necessarily looking for the level of detail that the recent and current bid ask studies do, where you can see what's kind of happened every tick. I just like to look at delta. And I think it just kind of simplifies it for me and kind of, helps me see what's just happened on the DOM in a pretty clean way.
Yeah, I like that. And you said that resets every how many points?
5 points for
Okay.
ES. When I was using NQ, I think I had it set to 20, 15 or 20.
Yeah, I do something similar with my NQ DOM.
Mm-hmm.
When mine's set to, let's see. Oh, I've got the currently this one is set to 50 points. I usually have it set lower, but I'm still just kind of testing some stuff out. If I flip over to my screen, I'll show you guys something that we're working on. So this is actually really unique to Sierra chart. So if you look at this profile here at the top on the DOM, you can see some of these numbers sticking out. So what we did is we built our own volume profile, and that's what there's two of them side by side. And let me look at the setting just so I can kind of.
I don't want to interrupt you, but it kind of
Do
looks
we have
like
a trade queue?
I don't know. We might. It looks like we're kind of gonna start getting a little bit of selling here.
I flipped to your screen if you want to talk through it.
Yeah. So, right, we talked about this earlier. I'm not in a trade right now, and I'm not about to chase this, but we'll just call it out from what's happening on the DOM perspective. So we called out that there was this high here, it's previous day mid, liquidity zone, and also it is weekly VWAP. So we're kind of getting back into, we got back underneath the overnight high, got back inside the IB high. And you'll notice like the tape reader on the very short time frame tape reader is pretty negative. It's also turning relatively negative. It's been negative for a while here. But it just kind of feels like right now, every time I see the buying come through the tape, it's just like it's barely even ticking up, and the selling is getting pretty heavy. So I wonder if we're gonna maybe flush, I know, somewhere maybe into the pivot, the Joe pivot, or even just maybe tag RTH VWAP here. You can see like this is a delta map bubble, so really there was just like a high burst of selling on this red marker, which is like why you see that printed right there. I would imagine that if the sellers can get going here after putting all this volume, tagging this high quite a bit, we can get a nice push down, but it's still got a pretty slow pace. There's a kind of a fat bid here in ES at like 76. I think if we get acceleration through that, we could probably get a liquidation into 40s. But Leo kind of called this out. He drew my attention to it when we were talking about the Dom. So and kind of see like once we started pushing down and volume kind of built around here, you can see that there's like some offer delta accumulating, which would be right 63, 64. So probably like in this spot right around here. So we kind of poked underneath the overnight high, and buyers tried to bring it back up, and they kind of got caught off sides a bit. So that's kind of the fact that they tried to buy it there, which was like right below an LVN. But here come the buyers again. We'll see. I'll say this, with these two signals firing, like you have strong selling and then buying trying to come into the market. If this gets off sides, I would think we'd get a decent flush. Because to me, this is saying they really sold the market here, and then buyers stepped in, try to reverse it, and if they don't, I would think we can get a flush. See what happens. Right now, it feels like it's moving through molasses. How does NQ look? Does it have a weak vibe to it, or not really?
Yeah, it's just kind of. I mean, it's going down. It's just boring. I mean, we're at this overnight high spot that I was talking about when we started.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of grinding down. I don't love, hopping into a trade where it's just grinding into that spot. Prefer to see a little more violence than this.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It looked like it was going to liquidate there for a second, but
no, it's all good.
They decided that I should kill your vibe and then slow down. Someone asked to explain the blue and red bubbles. I'm assuming they're talking about the delta map exhaustion.
Yeah. Do you want to go through that? Or do you want me to?
I think you have some better ones than NQ today that'll probably illustrate it better.
Yeah. So essentially, it's delta map is a combination of different looks at delta. I mean, that's why it's called delta map. So the first one is just the bar color, and on this chart, it's not showing the full capability, but what's being painted right now in these bars are just kind of like level 2 and level 3 selling or buying, right? So really aggressive selling or buying. We actually have neutral and like a level 1 type of, so kind of like light buying, heavier buying, or extreme, pushes. So keep that in mind, that I'm only showing a little bit of what's on here on the candles. Maybe we can go through that another time to show what those other settings look like. But the delta map bubbles are basically looking for exhaustion. And so there's a bunch of calculations being done in the background all the time to figure out what color these candles should be. And that's all based on delta. And then there's another bunch of calculations to figure out how to compare what we've done right now versus the past. And so basically, when we get to extreme levels of delta throughout time, and an immediate burst of delta that then slows down, essentially, then that's how these are going to populate. So it's looking for exhaustive type of looks predominantly, and on occasion those will also be momentum, but personally I use them mostly for exhaustive type of activity. And so, like, in this sequence here, this is a kind of an A plus scenario for me, and we can go through the delta flip at some point as well. But we get this exhaustion, so lots of buying, with a short-term burst that slows down, and then that's followed up by a flip in delta. So basically, a ton of buying came in, a burst of volume came in, and then flipped to the sell side almost like the next couple of bars. So seeing those two in sequence are pretty good. Pretty strong, trade, opportunity. Not in the middle of nowhere, but the context for this one being against prior week value area high, context here is against the overnight high. So I mean, you guys probably know as traders, sweeping a level like an overnight high and then reversing is a pretty common strategy for a lot of traders. So seeing that order flow and giving that context definitely helps.
Someone asked, what's the difference between a bid and ask?
That has to be a joke.
Well, why don't we answer
who's asking that question? I knew it. I knew who was asking that question without even looking at the chat. So no, Bazilla, I'm not going to explain to you what a bid and offer is. There's a little friendly banter. So
gotcha.
For those that are uninformed.
Gotcha. I'm like, wow, you're being really mean to a newbie.
No, appreciate the question though, Bazilla, but maybe you can hit my DMs. A lot of platforms have those simulate big ask or big bid delta. So like large trades, Jay Rich. So this is kind of it would be similar to large trades, but it puts an additional filter on it. So it's not just like, oh, a large trade hit the tape, you should take action. Like, that's not necessarily how I view order flow, right? And view it like, to make order flow actionable, you can't just take like a single event and say, oh, this is, I should execute a trade here. So it's kind of like taking some of that information and then, applying some filtering to it to make it more, actionable. Cool. We are approaching this little LVN 85. I'm just gonna watch this for a moment to see if we can't snag potentially along here. But it's currently still just kind of grinding lower, so it's not too exciting yet. Are you seeing anything? I'm gonna flip over to your screen for a second.
Yeah, ES is at RTH VWAP and a bit of a ledge. I just don't think that, for me, at this point, the way it looks, it kind of looks like it wants to go a bit lower. Definitely a strong offer in the market right now, I'd say.
Yeah.
The bid seems to have dropped off such a logical area for it to kind of happen from. Prior day mid, weekly VWAP, kind of like I talked about earlier. It's kind of, there's a little bit of a notch here. we're towards like the upper end of this distribution that we created yesterday. It's just like a lot. I think if there's a trade, if there's a long trade, it's going to be more of expecting us to stay in this range today, but like buying lower. Like I don't want to. I feel like when I'm trading from the middle out on days like today, it's I'm expecting more expansion. I mean, they certainly could. I mean, we've got 5 minute OR high here and a dominator. I see some buying coming in the tape reader.
Yeah.
Um, this wasn't a spot that I was necessarily looking to long though. So,
I was.
oh, is it? Is it your spot? Nice.
I don't know. As you were talking, I was like, man, it's gonna hit that spot. Oh well, maybe we'll pull back a little bit and I can jump in there.
No, it's just like the way I see it. We are right in the middle. We're back in the middle of this distribution here. So, I don't know. I mean, it could be a decent long. There's now double dominators coming through here.
Delta flip. Yep. We aren't gonna get them all, but that was definitely one of the spots that I was looking at. If you took a long there, are you already in runners? Gee, I don't know. I would definitely target the overnight high. So, but if you got 20 points, I would have taken a little bit and then target the overnight high and then hold runners to back up into this upper distribution here. So prior week value or high, maybe this anchored VWAP. So, this is a leg to leg profile. AJ kind of explained how that works, and then this is the VWAP that's anchored from that leg. So right now it's from the high, this intraday high right here. So I would target overnight high, this VWAP, and then back into the point of control. I'm going to go ahead and jump in with a 2-lot just to, see if this works out. It's a bit of a chase. I'm just going to leave my stop right here at 85 and live with the results. We'll have to target basically a retest of the IB 214. Just looking for a little 14 point on a 1-lot and then maybe hold a runner for this volume point of control. Some buying coming in on the tape reader and then also on this vertical time and sales. Oh gosh, I'm not even on my chart. Sorry. Did we lose AJ?
No, I'm here. I'm just letting you talk through it.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, like I said, ES is definitely came into its 5-minute high. Tape reader showed some buying. I got a couple buy dominators, so definitely a bit of an order flow response in that area. And it's a logical spot. I just can't get the contextual look of what happened at that high out of my head right now. I just think that there's a really good long. In ES, I think it's a little bit lower. But who knows? I'm just looking at your NQ chart. I mean, I definitely can see a situation where we kind of fill out that
up in the
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of up in, I guess, let me see what that number is. Like 20s and 30s. Fill that up. Fill it out a little bit more.
There's
Sellers
definitely
really
an
have
offer
to.
sitting here at in the 20,000. They just moved POC down here. You saw that absorption on the tape as soon as we came up into that 01. And then you can see it right here on this leg to leg. They're still, kind of reloading at the spot. So we need to get push through that, get above this little notch here at 05, and I think we'll have hopefully a decent trade. I would prefer to have a better price on this, but I'm in where I'm at, so I'm not gonna fret about it too much. No, they're really hitting the bid. This is what happens when you try to jump in the intraday chop in the afternoon. You got to kind of sit through. But the idea on this trade just being, we retested these single prints. We added this delta flip marker. I was very poorly positioned though, so it's going to be hard to manage this properly from a risk management standpoint. So I'm going to have to just leave this where it's at and let it play out. Ideally, I'd be in at the 90s or, and I've already taken a little bit of it so that I, pay for that trade, that like a portion of the trade. And then if I have a better entry, then, obviously my stop can be closer to this prior day close area.
There's definitely a little bit of, bid delta absorption here in ES, but it's that refreshing like poppiness that the bid had earlier today. It's not getting the same vibe right now.
Right. And we trade on vibes.
We do. We are pure vibes. When I say vibes, I'm only half joking. I think vibes. I think if you watch the Dom, like that's where the vibes come from. I made this analogy a while ago, and it went over like a wet fart. I kind of think of like watching the Dom as the equivalent of kind of being it's not the equivalent, but it's like the modern version of being in like the old school pit. Like obviously it's different because it's humans versus looking at a screen on numbers, but this is the only place we get to get eyes on other participants in the market. Like looking at the Dom, like this is in my eyes the modern pit. I know a lot of people are going to get angry because a bunch of people jumped down my throat when I said it last time. But based on what the stories that some of the old school pit traders talk about, they talk about like kind of you're trading against the guy sitting across from you, kind of watching what's happening around you, and that's a huge part of their edge. And I think that's what they were trading on vibes, the vibes of the pit. I'm trading on the vibes that I get from order flow through the Dom and time and sales. And if you have a problem with that, just keep that comment to yourself because I don't want to hear it.
And that, my friends, I don't know if I'm about to get stomped out or what, but there we go. It's going to happen. There we go. I've been stopped out of my first trade.
Gonna pop your cherry.
It was a chase, and hopefully you guys understood the reasoning behind the trade. And we took a little bit of a lick, but that's okay. That's trading.
This ES profile is just disgusting looking. Oh yeah, we got GIFs. We got stop out GIFs.
Had I had a better entry, I wouldn't have been violated like that, especially with all the buying that came in on the tape there. But whatever.
Trade based on WWLD. What would Leo do?
That's not a bad strategy. I like that guy. I like you, Emmer's World.
You look at the depth of market in the form of a liquidity map, not meaning the price ladder. So is that like, is he talking about like
market
book
depth?
map? Like the book map thing? I mean, I don't. We used to look at what's the book map equivalent in that study that does it in the market depth historical graph, right?
Yep.
We used to look at that, but the issue was they started bracketing order like large limit orders on either side of price and in ES and NQ, and I feel like that kind of ruined the use case that we had for it. Do I use it? I mean, I don't know how people use. I've never used Bookmap. I've obviously seen screenshots of it. I don't know exactly how. Not sure exactly how people are using it. For me, I feel like I'm able to see liquidity in other ways. I think that's right. That's the goal of Bookmap, to give people a vision of liquidity and like large market orders. I don't think you need Bookmap to do that. If you're comfortable looking at the DOM. Also, Delta profiles kind of help me get a pretty good view on like what's happening liquidity wise.
Yeah, I still like this trade. I'm flipping over.
Yep.
I'm gonna jump in a couple.
Yeah, so
we got a burst of buying that came in right here at 980s, so I think this is still a good trade.
Yeah, I like the market depth historical graph. I think if you have a CR chart, you could save a lot of money just by using that and not accomplishing the same thing as like a Bookmap subscription. You're struggling to read out things like resting liquidity from the DOM. Do I pay attention to that? So I would not say that I'm there. I would say sometimes, like sometimes there's an order so large on the DOM, or someone is refreshing in a single spot like so heavily that I mean I definitely pay attention to that. Like I definitely pay attention when like if someone's like sitting there just like reloading 500, 600, to the point where we get like 3, 4, 5,000 delta in one spot. Yeah, I'm watching that, but I wouldn't say that I spend a whole lot of time staring at the DOM quantities themselves. I think that the pull stat, and you could stop me, Leo, at any point when
I'm just watching my trade.
Okay. A lot of time, I think the pull stack, which you can see on Leo's chart, so he has them on both sides. So on the left side of his price ladder, the blue is the bid stacking, and on the right side with the red, that's offer stacking. Even though it's not very stacked right now, it's actually offers pretty pulled. So I think like the pull stacking gives you a view of. It's going to show you a calculation based on I'm not exactly sure how CR chart does it, what like the actual equation is. but they're going to show you like the change in resting change in liquidity on the book over a certain range of ticks. So I think that's a really good way to visualize that, because I don't know, I've stared at the ladder for quite a bit. I don't process it fast enough to do the math on the quantity, how the math, like do the math on the quantities themselves changing. So I think the pull stack gives a nice little shortcut there. So I would say that's how I look at resting liquidity, but like the book map thing, it's just a little too noisy for me, and not all limit orders get filled. And some limit orders that are on the book don't get filled, and some get filled so fast because they don't put them on the book until price is at that level they want to trade at. So I just think that there's other ways to focus my attention personally, but that doesn't mean it's not useful to anyone. Hopefully that's not confusing. Let's see. Well, Norse says that he's learned here that if Leo takes a stop out, he doubles his size to get back in when he gets back in.
Oh, I took a small position because I was late. And so, yeah, look, man, leave me alone.
Yeah.
No.
Someone also asked, your chart book, is that public or is that an OFL?
My chart book is a hot mess. You don't want this, but the OFL chart book is basically what my chart book should look like. So if you're a member, you can download that if you would like. The problem is I used to give out, give my chart book out to anybody, but now it's hard to do it because everything, like all the MGI stuff is all automated from like the OFL studies. So if I gave anybody that didn't have the tools, then it wouldn't do anything for them, because they would lose all of the important levels and whatnot. But I could give it a template. I guess I could make a template that would be, just like the DOM and the TPO charts and all that stuff. That's not a problem.
They are trying to buy it so hard out of this NES, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and then cue this 95. There's just they just keep on reloading the offer there. 96, 97, where the point of control is currently. What's the TPO chart look like? Yeah, I mean, I don't love this high, but whatever.
Yes, this kind of someone just seems like it's sitting on the offer hard right at RTH VWAP.
Yeah, I see that. Sounds like G-Man's walking up the stairs though.
Let's see. Does pace ever come into play after entering a position for you, Leo? I like the trade deal, but the pace has not shown up how I would like it.
I was about to comment on that. So you saw that I cut from 4 to 2, and it was kind of for that reason. There's a bunch of aggressive buying that came in back when we tested the prior day close again, and then it just stalled out. And so I covered two there at that stall out just to reduce the position size. And so, yeah, I do definitely consider the pace as an important element for managing the risk that I put on. And sometimes I'll enter into a trade and then we just do nothing. And I love when that happens. The market's doing something cool and you're like, oh yeah, like this looks like a great spot, and you jump in and then it just stops and just goes sideways, or like retest your entry like 10,000 times. I absolutely love it when that happens. So so when that happens, I'll just size down and just manage the risk accordingly, and then just deal with the fact that if it worked out great, if I manage it the same way every time, then I'm going to balance the variance where the right move was to reduce my risk, and then if I've reduced my risk in the trade, 1 second, I'm going to.
Yes, is giving it everything it has right now.
Yeah, same. And
bid is stacked, offers kind of pulled.
Let's see what your chart looks like. Let's see your DOM. Okay, I see your ES offer. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cover one there and just leave one so I can focus on the conversation. But yeah, so what I was saying is, if I approach every scenario or situation when it comes to pace in the same manner, then on balance, like the variance where it worked out in my favor to reduce my risk, or where it doesn't work out, and the trade just continues just despite the lack of pace, then I think both of those scenarios kind of even out. I do not trade ETH at all. So Globex, with a few exceptions. So like when there's good volume, or like when there's good volatility, I'll trade Globex. So that could be like a news event. Just anytime there's something wild going on, because I do like to take advantage of range. Now, oddly enough, like I said, we had range expansion yesterday, and both AJ and I were in OFL. We just started a live at the open on Tuesdays, and as the Monday open, and we had that liquidation that came out of nowhere. I know that it was news based, but both of us just sat on our hands for like the first hour and a half just to get that, that's kind of new information that the market's trying to digest. And so in those sequences where we've had, 2 to 3 weeks of like very calm, kind of a bid market, and then just out of nowhere, there's no bid, then that's a scenario where I'm not necessarily looking to get involved, because I want to see how things develop over time. And so I want more information at that point. But anyways, I don't trade Globex because it's just too slow for my style or my personality. But when there is good volatility, then there are very rare occasions where I may take a couple of trades in Globex. So it's basically a rule that I don't trade Globex, but there's always an exception to the rule. And for me, that's just like, if there's a good enough amount of volatility, or like a known event, like the election, that will be an event that I may be sitting at the desk for a little bit for that.
Are these tools only on Sierra, Leo?
Sierra, Motive Wave, Ninja Trader, and Edge Pro X.
No. The oscillators at the bottom of his chart, that's the tape reader, and it's part of OFL. Yes.
It's free too, so you can sign up for the freemium package and you'll get the tape reader, the weekly MGI. So that's like prior week high low value area, the weekly VWAP. And the nice thing about it is, I'm sure you can get that on any platform, but what's unique about ours is it has a proximity thing. So let's say, for example, right now we are 30 points away from prior week value area high. We could trigger that to disappear anytime we're outside of that range. So like, and you can configure the range. So it's got a proximity setting to where if you don't want to see, a certain level until we get closer to it, for example, like on an execution type of chart where you may have a lot going on, then you've got that. And then in addition to that, it automatically, flips the levels so on the weekly time frame, it will automatically flip everything on Friday afternoons at the close. So you get, it's just all automated. So it's super easy. You just throw it on a chart and overlay it to, or map it out to your execution chart or wherever you want to put that data. So it's pick and choose. There's a lot of different, levels in the MGI studies, and you can literally point and select, the levels that you want displayed and the levels that you don't. The draw styles, how you want them displayed, and all that good stuff. So that's MGI, and then single prints, which is that's on my chart. It's part of AutoPlot, which is a package inside of OFL that's based around a lot of the market profile concepts. And then there's various other like there's delta dominator, delta.
I grabbed a small long real
Nice.
quick. Yes.
Nice. We'll flip over. There's a delta dominance detector. So basically, like our earliest, work from a delta standpoint is out there for free as well. So there's a lot of free stuff. I would recommend, if you want to grab that, that's not a bad idea. And that'll get you started if you're new to OrderFlow or new to market profile or anything like that. That'll oh, here we go.
Let's go, baby. That's all. It's just waiting for me.
Yeah, they were waiting for AJ. So here's this anchored VWAP. If I had more on this trade, okay, so we just adjusted the leg to leg, but if I had more on this trade, I would have taken one there, just to kind of scale out of this. But now I'm probably going to hold to see if we can't test this upper distribution up here. So prior week value area high is going to be my target on this this last little runner that I've got. So I'll probably just cover, if we get up there and pause. Nice.
So I took one off here.
Oh, yeah, nice.
This reason for that is just I'm not sure you can see
I'm
my
on
chart.
your screen.
Kind of,
yep.
So we kind of like this 59.60s kind of like this ledge on this 30-day profile. It's just been this 60s just I feel like it's been getting a lot of tags. So that's about I think I got like 8 or 9 points out. No, 6. I got 6 points out of that piece. So I'll sit in the rest. I think ultimate target would be here. This LVN here. But I mean, if there's an obvious reason to cut this at the overnight high, I will. But they were hanging out here so long that I'm not necessarily like saying that we're going to make a new high a day, but I feel like there's only so long that sellers can kind of sell into a low and not get anywhere before they at least come off a little bit. So that was kind of the logic on the trade. And we just came down here and tagged 52 one more time, and the bid was stacked. They weren't selling it very hard. So there's only so much time. I mean, look at the volume profile that it had changed now, but like such a big distribution here, a lot of bid delta accumulation, We did have these signals here, these buy signals saying that when we came in here, there was some market buying activity, but I just didn't quite believe it yet. But once I see like volume and delta for me are king. So once I see this, it's like I have to give it a shot. Um, so that's what I was looking for.
Nice. Sellers are really trying to hit this IB low, IB high retest. We'll see if they make any progress, but so far, no. You can see that right here, these bids. It's very aggressive on the tape.
I don't think that my expectation was to get a pop, which we got. If it stops me out near here, that's fine, but that's definitely worth a look, pay for the trade.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna cover here. Don't love that. So that's gonna be a flat for me. And that's how, you have to, personally, like I adjusted new information. I said I was targeting prior week value area high. We get up here to the IB, we get tons of selling, and that's information. I'm only in one runner at that point, so it's just a matter of, hey, I don't want to, I don't know. It's new information. We tested this. We found some sellers, and that's kind of what I use to, manage the trade. And it's going to run without me. That's fine.
Did it catch another bid? Thank you.
Yeah, I just tested the anchored VWAP from this leg to leg right there.
Listen, you did the heavy lifting. I'll take advantage of the easy part gladly.
Yeah. So we'll just watch AJ, Chad handle this trade this afternoon. Shop trade.
Oh yeah, it's whoa. Oh, I see.
Oh.
Yeah, it heard me talking shit, but damn. So that was a really high burst of selling that just came. That's another one. Not really sure what's going on here. Besides the fact that I'm still long.
Is there news? Yeah. Is there news?
You can see like I'm still leading the same spot, like 800, 900. Like there's got to be 3,000 lots of negative delta accumulating in this spot. I mean, I've got every tool that OFL has graciously created for us firing here, in addition to the liquidity zone. I took off half my trade. Should I add to this? I don't know. I don't like when they're just like hammering this spot over and over again, but
I'm going to flip over to my screen just for a second.
Okay.
Looking at the TPO chart and the volume profile, we are just literally in the middle. And, for me, this is like a bit of a stretch at this point to stay in anything.
So,
which is like
when Leo's taking too long, it makes perfect sense when I'm sitting in it.
No, I mean it's just like the volume profile changed a ton as like we put a bunch of volume in here, and so it's just a different look.
Yeah, they look. The sellers look like they're pretty pissed. I won't lie.
Yeah, the sellers are mad. We know that. We know that they're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. Nobody knows that.
The market makers are hedging here. Sorry, we should not go down that path. But yeah, I'm gonna sit in this the half of this trade. Put my stop probably right where we'll sweep in reverse, but that's just how I roll.
Bazilla Trades is just having a good old time out there. Hey, the great thing is that you're a subscriber to our YouTube channel, so thank you for that. Rizzo is long AF from 965. Good grab.
That's a great grab
from earlier. Market maker.
How many bids do we have to fill down here? There must be a put wall or a call wall forming in this area.
Hey, I took a stop out. It's your turn.
Okay. Hopefully, just reverse jinx me. This whole leg down has felt pretty heavy. I don't have high hopes here. All I know is this: is if this somehow doesn't stop me out, which is the exact opposite of what always happens to me, we're streaming. I'm gonna have to stream 24/7 so I can stay in my trades. See, is it possible to get the chart book of the order book you're using? That's all for people that are like inside OFL. All of the chart books are available in there.
AJ, if you get bailed out by these buyers, I'm gonna
Are
be so pissed.
Are you rooting for me to get stopped out?
Yes.
It's the kind of stream that we have
This
here.
is how I'm just angry.
You're angry because you were long earlier, and now I'm long again, and I'm not allowed to stay in it.
No.
I will be shocked if this trade holds for me. It doesn't look too bad.
We're going to stay on here until AJ gets stopped out. That's the rule. I'm just kidding. No, we'll hang out until this trade's over. And then we'll wrap it up. We don't want to drag this out. We'll be on every week. We're not trying to go crazy, but if you guys keep joining and asking questions, we'll keep jumping on and talking through some stuff.
Let's see. It's a 5-minute pinch firing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
this
interesting.
Spicy.
It feels spicy.
Yeah.
It feels spicy, but I think I'm starting my taper just going pretty positive now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 OFL buy signals firing in this one spot.
Yep.
Another liquidity zone.
You have gotten the trade, my man.
The
and you already
wind
paid
is
for it
down
too,
my back.
so
Yep.
you came so close to stopping out. All I had to do was not say something.
I guess I really should have been adding to that there, but
Yeah.
just not. It was not comfy cozy in that.
Well, trading live on YouTube for the first time is not like a comfortable.
No, it is not.
I have no idea what I'm doing with this stream. So I've got one hand on the stream deck, another one in chat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting trolled by supposedly people that are friends of mine, and then they go in the Discord room and they say I just trolled Leo. But no, we thank you guys for jumping on. Obviously, we would have nothing to talk about or to go through without people that apparently want to listen to what we have to say.
There is seems like someone's kind of sitting here. I mean, it's just that same spot, like 55, 54. I could see it on my this like to like delta profile right here, like the 780 spot. This is where they've been reloading. I do think if we get a push above here, I could probably get my 60s. It's just the tempo. The tempo's not great. Don't love it, but
Yeah, there's still those
yeah.
offers there, just below the IB. Just trying to absorb this, but I don't know. I think it's going up.
Your lips to the bid's ears. Here we go.
Well, they brought VPOC down to the middle of the profile in ES, huh?
Bro, VPOC, it looks like can be on like six different spots here. I think if we tag 62, it would teleport down there. If we came back to my entry, it'd be back at 52. This is one nasty. This is like my least. I think that's kind of what gave me so much uncertainty about this short up here at the mid earlier. Obviously, we've put in a ton of volume since, so it looks a bit different. But it's like we're building volume higher as we are grinding up here. And even though that like I had a bunch of confluence with the mid and weekly VWAP, like when building volume, like you have a node here, then a bigger node here, then a bigger node here. Like my mind can't get out of the mode of like we're interested in trading higher. And when that's happening, I'm really not like I want to see a taper, which is why I took this short earlier, right? We had this strong bid pop and reversal, so it's like to me it's like potential lack of interest at a logical point. So I mean, I think this was a cleaner short in my mind, but this is obviously the one that worked. So who am I to say what's clean and what's not? Um, but I guess that's kind of just how I approach like looking at volume profile and whatnot. I'm never one to want to stand on the opposite side of volume being built higher and higher, or in more volume being built in like a certain direction. Like I follow volume. Like that's what I do as a trader. Yeah, I don't put in volume. I just follow the people that do. So it's really hard for me to want to be short here, even though I thought it was a really good spot. Um, I mean, we're just like right here in ES, at least there's from a profile standpoint on the session, it's just like we are just at the meat of value here. Um, Obviously, I'm leaning on a bit of a volume cave, and this LVN at 66 really sticks out. But it kind of just the tempo feels like we're just kind of happy to trade around here right now, just hanging out. No tape reader like on the leg here, it's been all mostly negative since we made that high. You could see on the shorter one, there's a really nice burst of buying, but there's only so much I can say about this. What is it? Let's see, 48 to 59. So we've been trading 11-point range for an hour. No, that can't be right. No, it's only 45 minutes. So let's see here. Just want to flip over to my daily chart and see, like, look at how much. So we had so much more vol. Like, what an outlier day in terms of how much volume came in during RTH yesterday compared to what it's been the past week and even today. I mean, that daily chart looks spicy. Oh, I just realized, is this right? Is this accurate? This prior all-time high, kind of a miss.
What'd you miss?
Uh, my chart's the one that's streaming right now, right? So this is an RTH only daily chart. So it looks like when we swept that low, almost, I mean, we got within a few points of this prior all-time high that we just broke out of. What a what a super obvious spot to look at, honestly. That's a big miss for me in my prep. Wasn't really looking at the daily chart today. Um, yep. Just some extra confluence. Let's see. AJ, would I consider a reoffer at 66? I would consider selling my long there. So yeah, I guess I would. You know, I'd be selling to cover at 66, not selling to enter. Why don't you put stop at break even exit when it's against you and then jump back in? Well, for me, I know that stops are apparently a hot topic. The quant folks will tell you that it's negative expected value to use a stop, which may or may not be true, but I'm too stupid to understand what they're even trying to tell me. So for me, when I put a stop in the market, like I enter with like a set stop, but then I move it to where I feel like I'm wrong. So my stop is at a price that the trade that I've taken is invalidated at. So, you know, right here, I've got it like kind of under this pivot. This is a pivot. This is like an OFL structural level. So I put my stop under the pivot, and I'm going to leave it there until the price trades here, or I'm cut my trade for profit. And that's because I don't care about being offsides a little bit. You know, like we talked about earlier, my entries are not perfect. Sometimes I got to be offsides a couple points. And if I put my stop at break even, you know, what I'm effectively saying to myself is, okay, I've taken this entry, price has moved in my favor, and now I'm wrong if price comes back to my entry. And for my style of trading, that's just like, it's not true, right? Price, look at how long this has taken. If I were, let's say I got long here at 50, like if I got long here, the initial touch of the spot that I'm in, I would have had to take this trade like 8 times because I would have kept getting stopped out from price trading around my entry. And so by putting if I had entered here and put my stop at break even, I would have churned commissions. I would have like booked losses. I would have just had to be really, really overactive in my trade. And so for me, like I don't really care about being break even. Like I'm happy to take a little bit of heat. Like I'm not, you know, yes, I've got a 5-point stop right now. It's like a few points of heat is kind of the cost of doing business for me. I used to be someone that put my stop at break even, like every time I, you know, got into profit, and it just caused me to overmanage trades and miss the move that I was ultimately looking for. I know that some people benefit from moving their stop to break even if they are kind of like really short time frame scalpers. Like I know some folks do that, and that's totally fine. But for the type of trade that I take, I need to be willing to let the market come against me a little bit because, hold on, I'm trying to decide here if this is a pump worth holding for, if I should be taking profit soon here against the IB. Yeah, so my stop, it's got to go where I'm wrong on the idea. And because I don't know how many times it's going to test my entry before it goes. And this is just like a perfect example of that. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Let's see. Is it worth waiting for confirmation before entering? Well, confirmation comes at a cost, and that cost is position, right? Like if I were, let's say I wanted to wait for confirmation that this trade was going to, I don't know, break above VWAP before let's say I entered here at 56 because I wanted confirmation that price was really going to move away from this level. It's like, okay, well, like that's possible, but then I would have had to double my risk. Like to take the confirmation entry here at 56 and then put my stop exactly where it is right now, I would have had to double my stop. And so I don't feel like I need to wait for confirmation because, we have all these OFL tools firing at the spot that I wanted to be long anyway. Um, is there is there obviously the downside of the other side of the coin is when I'm taking this trade is I'm taking it at its most uncertain point, right? Like if I'm long this area, I'm longing because right now sellers are dominant, right? We can see buyers are trying to step in from all these execution tools, but um, when I was buying it, sellers were hitting the bid, which is what was able to let me get this low price. Um, my initial entry is not usually confirmation unless it's like a momentum entry, because then I'm just like adding on momentum. But I will take ads. I guess you could say my momentum ads are confirmation ads because those are situations where I've started position. I feel like momentum's coming to the market, and now I'm adding because I feel really good about what's happening from an order flow perspective. But it's very rare that my initial entry is a confirmation trade, so to speak. Um, my initial stop for NQ was usually somewhere between 12 and 20 points. And I would adjust that based on like relative volume. So when we have high relative volume, like when it's like 100 plus, my baked in stop would probably be 20. When our vol was low, like somewhere around like 80 to 90 range, I'd probably run like a 12 or 15 point stop. But at the end of the day, it's very rare that my baked in stop ends up exactly where it needs to be. Like I'll tighten it or widen it appropriately. Let's see here. We are coming to this MGI. If we get like kind of just like a burst of buying into 66 and they build volume and pause, I'll cut this. I absolutely see a situation where we run this high here, but this would be a nice little 13-point trade in ES. I'm not gonna. We'll see.
13 points is like a 100-point runner in NQ.
I mean, it feels like it with the type of activity we're getting here.
I mean, you hit the gold mine.
Yeah. Thank you for your pike.
You're welcome. I exited my trade because sellers came in where I thought they would.
They did. It didn't look good.
We did make a new low against that trade, so I would have had to have a decision to make there, either stop out and re-enter or just add against the entry, which is some people would see, certain people would call that DCA, but that they totally don't understand what they're talking about.
When I talk to my financial advisor about dollar cost averaging into an account, he does it within a 5-point range in ES.
Yes, absolutely. Nice trade, man. I was rooting against you.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why it's working, honestly.
But you did a great job on this one.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. If I was a real man, I would have had it on that stop run. Just give me one more push here. We got POC, IB high. Bid still bid. Offers not doing anything crazy. And have my finger on the ejector seat here. I really think. Am I missing something here? I think I should at least get the overnight high.
Yeah, man, there's many ways to trade the market. We view market predominantly through the lens of order flow, but there's certainly different ways to look at the market, and from price action or different, all kinds of ways to trade.
Kind of getting itchy trigger finger here.
I'm gonna pull the trigger for you. I'm getting so itchy. No, I think it's a logical spot for take profit.
Yeah.
Potentially have running into
All right,
resistance here.
Take that.
There you go. A win.
There we go. It was pretty. So that's like a 15-point sequence. I was down 8 points coming into this. So.
Hey, you can't. Hey, Mindfold. You cannot bait me into ranting about that individual. Okay, so I did not fall for the trap.
I think we need to be PC on a YouTube stream. Otherwise, we don't need anyone's minions coming invading the stream.
Well, we discussed a little bit of the market activity. We saw some trades. I got stopped out on the first one. Got a decent trade on the retest of the 70s there, or not the 70s, I guess the 80s, the prior day close. Kind of, didn't manage it all that great. It worked out, but AJ had a nice trade too. So, hopefully there was a little bit of understanding on, the reasoning behind those trades and how they were managed. And guess what? We will be back next week. Whether you like it or not, we'll be back next week. And if you don't like it, don't come back. No, but in all seriousness, we appreciate you guys for jumping on and asking questions, and even for the trolls.
We haven't really made it until you have some trolls. So I'm taking that as a really good sign for the future success of this stream.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Anything you want to wrap us up with, AJ? Or do you just want to say bye?
No, I think new all-time high soon, hopefully.
Everybody forgot to hit the like button. Can everybody hit the like button at once? Yeah. Everybody do it. If you don't hit the like button, I don't know. I think there's like a rule that you can't come back.
That's it. That's how we've coded that into YouTube's UI.
Yeah. But really, thank you guys for jumping on with us. We appreciate it. Hopefully there was, something learned. That's what we want to have happen every week. And if not, then let us know and we'll make an adjustment.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one.